Hello again, and welcome to week 7. And of course, as everybody who's been in RMIT for any time before this semester, you know that week 7 is normally a self-study week. Well, this whole semester has been a self-study week, or self-study weeks. So really is no different than any other week, except the fact that you're not traveling back to hometown or anything like that. So week 7 is actually week 8's topic, and we're just moving it up along the schedule. And that topic, now that we're speaking about, is warehouse administration. So when warehouse administration is, another way just to look at warehouse management, but from a people point of view. So, for this week's topic, we're going to be looking at a number of different things dealing with, the people in the warehouse and various, careers that may lead, from the warehouse and going up that corporate ladder, as I described to you earlier in the semester. So we'll look at various careers that go through or that come from warehouse management or starting your career in the warehouse. So as it goes up the ladder. So from line supervisors, perhaps assistant managers, to the warehouse manager itself. And if it's a huge warehouse, of course, they may have their own office staff to be an office manager or something like this.
So, if you could just get to that as soon as possible, that would be terrific, okay? Thanks a bunch, Milton.
Bye.
And then work your way up into other departments around the company. So from that point of view, again, I talk to you guys as if you are potential future warehouse managers. And as a warehouse manager, I've always believed that regardless of which department you're managing, each department should have a mission statement. And for anybody who's been in any other management classes, you should already know what that is. Of course, your mission statement is really stating the purpose of your department and what your goals are as a department.
Are we clear?
So even a warehouse, which you may think is a fairly simple, straightforward operation, it should still have a mission statement that your employees in the warehouse can buy into and follow as a means of guidance, as well as setting up, the corporate culture, behaviors and belief systems and things like this in the warehouse. And it just, again, strives to keep everything on the same pace, or everybody flowing to the same, same standard, so to speak. And then we're moving on to look at the management skills that you need to acquire and be able to demonstrate as a manager. And there's a multitude of different skills. Now, of course, when you're thinking of management skills just as a general idea, of course, you're probably assuming that as a manager, you're managing the type of people that work in offices and have university educations and things like this. But in this case, in the warehouse, of course, you're dealing with a whole different group of people, a different demographic. And so therefore there's various challenges that go along with those management skills. And it's mostly dealing with people. Your people skills are really what's going to make the difference between you being a successful manager or not. And again, the type of people that tend to work in warehouses, are high school graduates, or even those without any kind of high school education. You might get the odd one who actually has a university education, and that's probably going to be part-time workers who are going to university at the same time they're working in your warehouse. but for the most part, they're going to be, people without that higher education. So you as a manager need to develop skill sets in order to, efficiently manage these different types of people. Teamwork skills goes hand in hand with your management skills, because as a warehouse, you're dealing with, yes, individuals, but really as a team. Everybody's working in unison to accomplish the same goals. And as I'll discuss in future tutorials, when I was manager, I used to like to alternate people's responsibilities around the warehouse so that everybody had a decent exposure to all the different jobs that were in the warehouse, as well as the fact that it alleviates the routine where people get bored of their job and whatnot, because they're always doing something different. So it was on a rotation, whether it was weekly or monthly, just depending on what kind of job that was. And then we're going to look at things like recruiting or recruitment. How to go about getting the people that you need to work in the warehouse. Are you simply going to take people off the street? You're going to look for specific experiences, or perhaps even as far as people who are certified in certain functions within the warehouse, like forklift, for instance. A lot of companies these days are looking for certified forklift drivers who are not going to require training on how to drive a forklift. Things like that. But speaking of training too, even though you bring people into the warehouse, they may or may not have the experience that you're looking for specific to your operation or your product line or whatever else. So you're going to, as a warehouse manager, have to develop some kind of training programs to get people up to speed with your expectations. And then the same along the lines of personal development. So those who are working in your warehouse, how do you encourage them to improve themselves, how to do better, how to climb the ladder within the warehouse as far as responsibilities and closer to management goes, as well as your own personal development. So we'll cover that kind of stuff in the narrated slideshow as well. And then lastly, this topic is going to be looking at occupational health and safety, OHS, as it's known on this side of the world. Where I come from, it's called OSHA, OSH. They just flip the safety and health thing around backwards. But it's all the same thing. It's basically looking at trying to keep your warehouse as safe as possible. For two reasons. The first is obviously to protect yourself and your coworkers or your employees from injury or worse, as well as just keeping the operation running efficiently by being safe. Because obviously, if people are being injured, that disrupts your operations in a very negative way. So we'll be looking at a lot of different features with occupational health and safety, and that'll pretty much wrap up our our topic for the week. So now that I got that out of the way, one thing I want to bring to your attention right now is your group project, which you should be starting around now anyway, because you finished your essay, and now the next step is to get together with your group to design your warehouse. So go to the assignment, open up the attachments and whatnot, and read through the instructions, But basically what you're going to find is that you as a group are going to be preparing a warehouse layout and design based on the product of your choice. You'll see there's 5 different product categories that are listed in the instructions. So choose one of those, and you're going to design your warehouse around that particular product. And because it's a group project, again, equally share the workload among everybody in your group. And at the end, when you're submitting this thing, you're going to have to submit also the attached contribution form. So each member is going to be expected to contribute a certain percentage to the project. So if you expect a fair distribution of grade amongst the 5 members or so of your group, you're going to, on that contribution form, it should say for each person 20%, 20%, 20%, to equal 100. Now, if there's 2 ways to go about doing this too. If you have team members who weren't really pulling their weight and didn't really do a lot, but you love them dearly because they're your best friends and you've known them since kindergarten, and you want them to have the same grade as you, that's fine with me. If you want to distribute everything 20% so everybody's equal, that's great. But if you do have certain team members, again, who didn't pull their weight, and you yourself, found that you were doing 30% or more percentage of the project, and you want to be, recognized for the one doing all the work, then you have to have your group sign that as well, that you did 30% and the rest, somebody else maybe did 20% and the rest did 10% or 15%, whatever it is. And then you'll get the grade distributed by percentage that way. So it's 2 different ways of doing the contribution form. So I leave that completely up to you as a group. Again, this is one of the life skills that you can't rely on the teacher to make decisions for you all the time. You as a group have to think and behave as adults, right? You're all adults, so make a decision.
What are you talking about, Kimberly?
Based on either way, whether you want to do it just the fair democratic way and everybody gets the same grade, or specific percentages are being reported. So it's up to you guys as a group. Anyway, so that's that. And as far as the presentation goes, of course, there is no presentation because there's no classroom to do your presentation in. So my expectations in that regard will be that each team member will be responsible for a certain part of the overall project. And what you're going to do is exactly what I'm doing here, is videotape yourself talking about the specific part of your project, whatever you're responsible for, whether it's the research, whether it's the recommendation, whether it's discussing the layout, anything to do with the project, whatever your role is, you have specific responsibility for that part of the presentation. So I would expect anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes per team member. Don't go overboard. I don't want to see any 10-minute individual presentations. So 2 to 3 minutes is what I'll be looking for. And have somebody in your group be responsible for putting all those videos together as one video, so you could submit just one video for the group. So you're submitting one project, the written report, along with the actual drawing of the layout. So read the instructions, you'll get that, and then the video. So those will be your presentation and a report, all done at the same time. Now if we follow the schedule in Canvas, the presentation is actually due in week 9. And that gives me a week to give you some feedback on your presentation, maybe you can get some improvement into your written report. So week 10 will be the written report, and so make sure you get that done and out of the way. And I'll remind you more as that time comes. But again, this particular video is dealing with week 7, so I'm just introducing the project to you. All right, so that's all I have for you this week, and again, stay safe out there. Wash those hands. Keep the corona away from everyone, and have a great week. And we'll see you in the Collaborate Ultra session. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
When you're with the Flintstones, labba yabba dabba, tea time.